came together again so that they could not so much as eat bread. When his own people heard about this, they went out to lay hold of him, for they said, he is out of his mind. Those who were close to him, I don't think that's his apostles, probably some relatives, maybe even some immediate family. We learn in John chapter 7 that at this point in his teaching career, his brothers did not believe in him. And you might understand why that would be if you had an older brother who'd grown up in the house with him. He'd maybe done nothing miraculous. He'd been a great older brother, but he hadn't been doing miracles around the house or anything like that. You might really wonder how he could be the Son of God. And so they were having trouble processing that. But whoever this was, some of his close relatives, no doubt, they think he's just gone out of his mind, and all these people gathered around him, and it's just a bunch of craziness as far as they're concerned. And so they come to get him. And it says that the scribes who came down from Jerusalem said, he has Beelzebub, and by the ruler of the demons he cast out demons. So he called them to himself and said to them in parables, how can Satan cast out Satan? And so again, Jesus is going to respond to their objection, very rapid fire with some quick logical statements. Satan's not going to cast out Satan. What kind of sense does that make? It's obviously not common sense at all. Secondly, he says, if a kingdom is divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. If a home is divided against itself, that house cannot stand. So if Satan has risen up against himself and is divided, he cannot stand, but has an end. So Jesus explains that, look, this can't be Satan doing this. He'd be destroying his own kingdom. How can Satan cast out kingdom? A house divided against itself cannot stand. And then he says, no one can enter a strong man's house and plunder his goods unless he first binds the strong man, and then he will plunder his house. So here Satan is a strong man. If you wanted to take his stuff, if you wanted to destroy his kingdom, you gotta bind him. And so Jesus, as the stronger man, so to speak, that's what he's depicting himself doing, and then destroying his house. So he said to them, they've accused him of casting out demons by Satan. He says, assuredly I say to you in verse 28, all sins will be forgiven the sons of men and whatever blasphemies they may utter. But he who blasphemes against the Holy Spirit never has forgiveness, but is subject to eternal condemnation, because they said he has an unclean spirit. The spirit that Jesus cast out demons by and performed these miracles by was not an unclean spirit. It was the Spirit of God. It was the Spirit of God. And these men should have known that. Any body with open eyes and an open heart could have seen that Jesus was performing miracles by the power of God himself. And to say that that was being done by the power of Satan was blasphemy in the highest degree. And that's what Jesus is pointing out. These men are utterly turned away from anything that's truth. Their hearts are so hard they can't see the truth at all and won't see it. And so Jesus is just pointing out the seriousness of their error, that this is not going to be forgiven. Jesus is really firm about that. So it says then in verse 31 that his brothers and his mother came. Standing outside, they sent to him, calling him, and a multitude was sitting around him and said to him, look, your mother, your brothers are seeking you. But he answered, saying, who is my mother or my brothers? And he looked around in a circle at those who sat about him and said, here are my mother and my brothers. Whoever does the will of God is my brother and my sister and my mother. Jesus identifies his true spiritual family on this occasion.